What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon 466 Cards back at home from the National, and today we're gonna do a quick recap video about the National, my thoughts on things I liked, things I didn't like, and other highlights from the show. So let's jump right into the things I liked. Well, the first thing is I had a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people. I had fun at trade nights and other events, and this being my second year at the National, it wasn't as overwhelming, and I didn't have the need to see everything like I did last year, and so I could pick my spots. And with a little bit more experience, I was able to make myself through the show floor pretty easily. And it was a great time. The vibes were good. The people I talked to were great and fantastic. And that leads me to my second thing that I liked, which is I chatted with almost all the people that I wanted to meet. I got to talk to a lot of people. I am generally prepared when I go to shows like this. And so what I did is I actually put together a list of people that I wanted to talk to. And this is an actual screenshot from my phone. You can see I talked to everybody I wanted to talk to on this list, with two notable exceptions. One being Jesse and Mike from the Sports Card Nonsense podcast, which I've been I've been a guest on in the past, and I met them last year at their show at the National. But unfortunately, I couldn't make it out to their Friday night event because I was just wiped from walking the show floor, and I needed to take a shower and go back to the hotel. And given that things are pretty spread apart in Cleveland, there just wasn't enough time to make that event and also go to the Filmington event, which I ended up going to later on Friday night. The second person you can see on this list is a fellow named JB who works at PSA. JB is the best. I had to deal with him last year at the National, and he took care of me and was just unbelievably good guy. And unfortunately, he wasn't at the show. I actually went to the booth at the National and asked for JB, and they said that he stayed home to run things while everybody was at the National. So that was unfortunate. Every time I go to a show at PSA's there, I ask to just give JB a little fist bump and say hello and chat with him for like a minute or two. Obviously he's working there, but that guy is the best. If you ever you need to deal with PSA, like if you're dealing with JB, you'll be taken care of. So but all in all, I've got to meet almost everybody I wanted to at the National. The other thing I got to do was make new hobby friends. So like I said, I went to a few networking events and just chatting with people throughout the show. I'm a pretty sociable person, so I got to meet some new people. So shout out to two sets of individuals specifically. The first is the Quiet Card podcast. You can see the three guys with me in this picture. We ended up sharing a table at Saturday's trade night, and these guys are an absolute blast. These guys brought great energy. They were funny. Like, they were saying hello to all their friends as they walked by. Everybody seemed to know them, but they like kept that energy and like the positive vibes going throughout the night. After Neo Cards and Comics, Dustin the Sports Card Dad, Michael Ham, and Flip and Steve, I was at their table. They left to go have dinner, and then these guys sat down, and we were just chatting the entire time. And these guys were great, and couldn't say enough good things about these guys. So check them out on the Quiet Card podcast. And their names are Imani, Jerry, and Yabo. It was loud in there, but I think that's his name. Anyways, these guys were great. And then the second group I want to give a shout out to is a fellow named Joe, who I met at the Filmington event, which, even though it was a baseball event, this guy was a hockey card guy. Turns out he is a Mario Lemieux collector like me, also from Canada. And even more interesting, he was the second highest bidder on one of the Lemieux cards that I brought recently. It was a Topps Chrome Black Refractor out of 50 that I won. It turns out he was the second highest bidder. So what an odd coincidence to run into him at a baseball an event run by a baseball card guy. What are the odds, right? So some new hobby friends. Always excited to meet new people and make new friends. Next, way more on-site food options at the Cleveland National compared to last year's National in Chicago. They had a bunch of food trucks in there. Lines are long, which is good because it suggests that the food is good, but also that people are hungry and that they will hopefully be doing this for the Chicago show. But yeah, I had a couple of chicken tendies and they were good. They got the job done. I wanted to get a hot dog as well, but they were sold out, which suggests again that there was demand and that the food was pretty decent. So shout out to the management committee for doing that this year and expanding what we could eat on site because everything was so far away. And then lastly, the entire show just felt like more of an experience, like a fun experience. There was like really good energy throughout the venue, and I know us collectors might find it annoying. I know at some points it got really loud in there from either the upper deck booth or the eBay booth or the Fanatics booth or some combination thereof, with a lot of cheering and yelling and stuff. But all in all, that actually adds to the vibe of the show, I feel like, and so I think that made it seem like more than just a card show. It felt like an event. And so I think that's good. I can't speak for what happened in the Breakers Pavilion because I didn't go in there at all. I just refused to step in there because it is nothing it has nothing that I'm interested in. But it did seem to have a lot of energy over there as well. They had that monster TV screen or Caesar's Palace screen, whatever you want to call it. I've heard it called a lot of things, the casino screen of all the different breakers, but it was a pretty different experience than what I felt the Chicago experience was last year, and I think it was for the better. So I think the new management team brought some good new ideas to the show. Things I did not like. Well, there's only two, so this will be really short. I know I made some videos criticizing the National on some of their other stuff, namely their finances, but only a couple things to nitpick. One, bathrooms. I know that other folks who have made videos have said that, in the basement, in the VIP area, there were bathrooms that were available and didn't have long lines. Well, a lot of people weren't VIPs and didn't have that access. And so I'm going to give you all a view of the layout at the National this year. This is the entire venue. So you walk in here, the ticket office is here, you walk in here, and this is the show floor. So there's a room down here. This is the autograph pavilion. This is all where all the breakers are, and then this is corporate here and corporate here. But basically two large rooms. The bathrooms are not plentiful. If you are a man, there's a washroom here in the top left corner, and there is a washroom here. So it's that yellow color. That is it if you are a man. If you are at all in this room, there's nothing for you. You have to go back out here because these bathrooms are actually part of this middle section near the food trucks. That's it. You have to walk all the way over here, and there was generally a large line outside this set of bathrooms at all times. You're kind of out of luck. You'd have to go there or march all the way across to this one, and that's it. Those are your only two options. And if you're a woman, there was the bathrooms here, and then there was one up here. Now, obviously, at the National, if you're a woman, you'll be fine generally in terms of bathrooms because there's not exactly a strong female or woman contingent at the National. But this seemed not the best. Like, it seems like there's not enough bathrooms if we're going to host the National in Cleveland at the IX Center. And so that's why it's one of the criticisms. And again, like this bathroom in the middle here, line up basically at all times. So if you really needed to go, like, best of luck to you. And then the second thing is the Wi-Fi / internet. It had its ups and downs on the show floor, but generally seemed to work okay. Like, you had to futz around with it a little bit sometimes. But for trade nights, which they put in the basement, well, guess what? Wi-Fi and internet weren't doing that great in the basement underneath a center by the airport. And so I have to say that the Wi-Fi and internet could use some improvement. And I think part of it is because the trade night was in the basement. The show during the day was like generally okay-ish. Like, there was a lot of holding my phone up a little bit and turning my Wi-Fi on and off to see if we could get a better signal. But I still think there's room for improvement for this. Like, I can't imagine that they couldn't work with Verizon or AT&T or whoever they're working with for the internet and spend like 20, 40, 50 grand and just get like something that can support like 30, 40,000 people in a day using their Wi-Fi looking up comps, like it's 2024. We should be able to do this. If you guys are generating $4 million in revenue, spend like 40 or 50 grand on Wi-Fi. Is that too much to ask? Is it? I don't think it is. And that's it. That's it for things I didn't like about this year's National, things that we could improve on. So now we're going to talk about my favorite quote from the show. I overheard this with the son who was about 10 years old walking with his dad throughout the National. They were clearly at their first National, and I heard this entire quote and I almost laughed out loud as I heard it, and I immediately wrote this down on my phone to make sure I got this quote word for word. And it goes, "No offense, Dad, but I'm never going to look at your collection the same way." Because I think he was like, "Oh man, Dad, you got all these cool cards." After going to the National, Dad, I've seen better. Was the way. But the way he said it so earnestly and honestly was what did it for me. It's like this 10-year-old kid just trying to be nice to his dad, but had to be honest with him. And I don't know, something about it just killed me. So that was my favorite quote from the show. Now, the only trade I made at the National, I made Saturday morning. If you go to my Saturday video, it's the first 45 seconds to a minute there where I make a deal with a fellow named Jackson. This was the deal. I traded away my National Treasures RPA Joel Embiid in a BGS 9 for cash, plus a select Jason Tatum rookie signatures auto, and then also a Darius Garland select neon orange pulsar in a PSA 9. That's numbered out of 13. The Tatum is not numbered, but it is an on-card auto. And you know me, I am a big Joel Embiid fan, and so you might be wondering, why did I trade away his RPA from National Treasures, one of his best cards, when I'm a Joel Embiid fan? Well, the answer is simple. I've had this card for a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years. I forget how long exactly. And it doesn't excite me anymore. And I don't know why, but it doesn't. And so when something doesn't do it for you anymore, you get rid of it. And so that's what I did. And I happened to find Jackson online. We've been talking for a little bit, and I will probably make a short little video, or maybe just a short actually, about that whole experience, because there's something very funny about it. But that's why I made the deal. It's just, I kind of got tired of this card, and I didn't really need to have it in my collection. And obviously it being worth a few $1,000s, it's always good to get some cash out of it. So it was that's what happened here. And the thought process here in terms of these two cards was, I'm in Cleveland, so maybe I'll be able to move this Garland card, and then it doesn't hurt to have some Jason Tatum cards going into the NBA season in a few months, with the Celtics being one of the favorites to win the championship, and having a repeat on your resume certainly would not hurt. So that's the thought process behind why I made this trade. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about the deals I made at trade night, where they were all sales. I wasn't able to trade for anything. I didn't buy anything because I was seated the entire time, like I said, with the guys from the Quiet Card podcast, and then the fellas Neo, Dustin, Michael Hammond, Flip, and Steve. So I stayed seated the entire time, as opposed to the Thursday trade night where I walked around the entire night. I wanted to get both experiences. So I sold this red prism for I think $100. I sold this this variations prism of Joel Embiid for I think $120. You can see here, yeah, $120. I sold this Joel Embiid National Treasures, not a true RPA, but it does have a signature on it, and also a patch here. This is numbered out of 25. It's raw. I think I got $380 for this. And then this neon orange pulsar, which is again the courtside out of 13 from 2019 Select. I sold to a fella from Australia who was part of the 130 point team that I met at trade night. He seemed to know me, and I got to chat with him for a little bit. It was great to talk to him. And again, if you're not aware, 130 point has an app now, so go download it in the App Store. It's the least I could do for him after he bought this card from me. So I did actually manage to trade away the card that I had just gotten less earlier that morning. I think I got this at around 11 a.m. The orange pulsar, and then I sold it around say 9 p.m. So that was the deal. So I sold 4 cards, and I kind of regret not sitting down and trying to sell my cards as well on Thursday, but uh, it is what it is. I still had a lot of fun at trade night, and yeah, it was overall a great experience at the National. Can't complain. Already looking forward to Chicago. Probably looking to book my hotel somewhat soon, so I can get one of the good hotels by the venue in Chicago in Chicago there. So in Rosemont, that's the name of the town there. So that's it for this video. But we're not done talking about the National, because next time we're gonna talk about the urban legend. That's right, the Blez girl wrestling match at trade night. I saw the video, and I have more context as to what led up to it, and I'm going to talk about that next time. Thank you as always for listening and watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.